Holy Trinity Monastery in Mexico, it is quite different. There are other Orthodox churches which are sister churches, but they have a different tradition. Somehow they are not very strict. The Russian church is considered to be the strictest. To open a parish in Mexico for the first time in history of modern Mexico, in Church Slavonic and following the Julian calendar, it was something unique. It was a great opportunity for them, for the worshippers, to come to their own church, to feel at home in their church, instead of going and listening to something in Arabic or Greek or Spanish, which were foreign languages to them. But Church Slavonic is like it doesn't matter from where you come from. If you come from the Soviet Union, you speak Russian. If you speak Russian, you understand part of Church Slavonic. So it's not unknown to you. It is the language of the church. So this makes it unique. When we started the monastery, it was only three. We were three. One priest and two monks. Now we are 3 priests and 3 monks. Most of our parishioners are of a Slavic background. As I mentioned before, they come from the ex-Soviet Union, from different republics. But they all speak Russian. Somehow, this is the only place where they can share or talk in the same language. And not only that, as I also mentioned before, they can follow the tradition of their ancestors. But mainly, as new immigrants, perhaps they never went to church when they were back in their country. They didn't go to church. Most of them were born during the Soviet Union, during Soviet times, so they were not used to go to church. But here, they needed to find a place which will give them identity. And the only place where they find this identity is here, because we observe their holidays. We just had a celebration, the day of victory, the end of the World War II. We just ended. We had also the Maslenitsa celebration, which is like a carnival right before Great Lent. So we keep the traditions for the people, and they are able to speak their language. But at the same time, many of them are married with local people, with Mexicans, and their children are born here. They want to bring their children into their roots. So the only place where they can talk in their language is here. Yeah, of course there is a Russian school at the Russian embassy, but the environment is different. It is a school, but church is also a place where you can share with all your family. We party together, we pray together, we eat together, and people make friends from within the community, and we become like a family, like a big family. And this is really unique, because before many of them were isolated, because women get married with Mexican, they get involved with Mexican family, they lose their roots. They are not able to worship in an Orthodox church, and then their children are baptized Catholics or anything else, or not even baptized, so they lose themselves. And at the end, they lose their identity, they lose their faith, they lose their traditions, their spiritual traditions. And this church brings them together as a family. And at the same time, we are the point where people come for help. And they know they're not alone because we give them help. We help them in many different ways. I hate to be very honest with this type of questions, but mainly keeping it open. This is my main goal, and it has been for the past 5 years, because at the beginning somehow we established a way to bring some income. We had a cake factory, then eventually we opened an apiary and we were producing honey and candles. And at the same time I got a job as an academic, but I am also a psychiatrist. So I was hired in a clinic of mental health for the elderly. So we had good income in order to establish the community here. So at the beginning, we didn't have much people, but we didn't have many needs. But the community, the monastic community is growing. The parish is growing. So we had to move upstairs. We had to get rid of our dining room, of our living room, of our garage, in order to make it part of the chapel, of a community center for the people, or a trapeza, a dining room for Sundays. And this is due to progress. We are growing. We have been growing very fast, very, very fast. I think at this very moment we are the largest Orthodox community in this country. But with the economical crisis everywhere in the world, it also affected us. I have health issues, yes, and it's not a secret. Many people know that I have a very weak health. But we support the monastery just with our work, with our salaries. If it was just to support ourselves, we wouldn't have any problem, because we could rent a small house or an apartment to live together, the monks, and just be there and pray. We have financial means to keep a small monastery open, but not a big parish. If we stayed in this property, it's because we have a big parish and we need it. And during major holidays, it's small. It's too small. People have to be out or out in the garden. Now during Easter, our Pascha celebration, we go out and we open the gate to the street, because we can't hold all these people. For a moment, when we make the proclamation of the resurrection, we have to go out to the street. But this is at midnight. It's not a problem. But it is hard for me to continue maintaining this parish. It is not just a monastery. It is not a matter of getting donations for us to make our living or for our food. No, because we work, and we work very hard. But the problem is that we pay rent, and the rent is very high. Why? Because it is a good neighborhood. It is expensive neighborhood. Why did we choose this place? First of all, it was not that expensive at the beginning because I fixed it. It was a very old house. It was abandoned. And I was working for a couple of years restoring historical monuments in Mexico, so I knew how to do it, and I put this house the way as it is now. It costed a lot of money, but I came with an agreement with the landlord, and he accepted. We fixed it, and he will rent it to us, because nobody wanted to rent it the way as it was. So we fixed it, and we have been here already 11 years since we got the house. But our missionary work has been here for 9 years. So during 2 years, we were fixing the house and were trying to organize. And I wasn't even here in Mexico. I was at the monastery in New York. And right now, I lost my job and college because it was a contract for 4 years. Then I had another one for another 4 years, and I just lost my job from university, and that was a good income for me. But in last April, my contract ended, and now I have no work from that part. So now I'm working as a medical doctor, but getting little here, there, and then eventually they want to raise the rent 120% more than what we are paying. So I wouldn't say just it's ridiculous. No, I will say it's impossible. It is impossible for me, because we were already in a big crisis, just working in order to keep this monastery open, but not for the monks, but for the people, for the parishioners, because there's no other Russian church in Mexico City. We need to keep it open for them, because this is the main place, this is their home, their spiritual home, this is the place where they go when they are in need. There are many people who depend on us in many fields, but honestly, I feel that I cannot continue anymore with this task. It's very, very heavy for me, and I haven't told them about how I feel, but this is the way I feel. I don't think it's even fair for a priest or a monk. We became monks because we wanted to wait on the Lord, to serve the Lord and the church and the people. But instead of that, we're selling cakes. I'm working elsewhere, and I'm not a married priest. A married priest, usually he has a lay job, a civil work. But monks, no. Usually they stay in the monastery and they take care of the normal monastic occupations. Yeah, we also have that. But Mexico is different. It's not an Orthodox country. We had our beehives. We produce money. But our bees, 90% of them died due to pesticides. So we lost most of it. Now we are not producing honey. Now we are not making our own candles anymore. We make icons. We have an icon studio, but it's just the beginning. We will have the first icon exhibit in 1 month. But we don't have much income. There are no donations because the people who come here are new immigrants. They have to find their way of living. They can't give much to the church. They come here to ask, to beg for help, for job, for migratory status. So we pay for their attorneys, we give them money, we help them in whatever we can. But we do help them. But who help us? Well, we don't get a salary from the church. Sometimes we have some people who help us from United States, some benefactors. But here in Mexico, with the crisis, it's just impossible. And people are going away from churches. So I don't see a way at this very moment of keeping this place open myself. Not even with my brethren. I mean, they are working. We are 3 higher monks. Father Christopher, he studied art history, and he mainly teaches languages. But he's also the only one in charge of all the trevi, I mean the daily services, because whoever calls the monastery, he responds, because I have to work like 14 hours a day. And Father Arseny right now, he is in charge of the icon studio, and he's been working for 1 year, a whole year, painting icons all day long, because we have an icon exhibit in July. So this is their main task. I get up at 5:30, and I go to work, to the clinic, from 6 till 2 o'clock. Then I have a couple of hours off, but 2 hours with Mexico City's traffic are not enough to come to the monastery and then go back, because after that I have my second job in a clinic, and so I wouldn't have a chance to come to the monastery, so I stay there, because the clinic is in the same area. So I go to the clinic and I leave the clinic, I get into the clinic at 4 and I leave at 11 at night. And that's from Monday to Friday. And I get back to the monastery at midnight every day. I have tried to bring converts in because it's not just a matter of converting people or opening a mission in Mexico. No, it's a matter of keeping a family Orthodox, because most of our people are mixed. They married with locals, with Mexicans. So if I don't bring the non-Orthodox spouse into our church, they will not permit them to come to church, and we will lose the children, we will lose the family eventually. So we have a department of translations, and we translate a lot of Orthodox literature into Spanish, from Russian and English, and even other languages, from Greek, we translate into Spanish. Sometimes our problem is that we don't have the means, financial means, to publish, but we do a lot of translation, and if needed, we serve any liturgical service 100% in Spanish. It was not what I was expecting from serving the Lord. I don't think I had a vocation to be married, because I wanted to be in church, I wanted to deal with lots of people, but not exactly to support a family. And now I'm not only supporting a family, I'm supporting many families. And I love them, they are my children. They need me, but they see me as their father. Yeah, but as a father, I'm the one also who pays the bills, all the bills from the monastery. And it is not that I'm not willing to do it, but it goes beyond my control. I can't make this much money to pay the expenses from the monastery and from the parish and from the mission work in other cities. So it goes much more beyond my control, my possibilities. I just can't do it. It's like telling to your wife and your children, you know, I didn't make enough money, so we have nothing to eat for today. I can't tell them that. How am I going to tell them, listen, I lost my job in university and now I won't be able to pay the rent anymore, so you will not have a house tomorrow. How can I tell them that? All of us, the monks, are working and supporting this mission for the community, but not for the monastic community, but for the parish. But this is a large parish. We have about 500 families inscribed in the parish. But all of them are newcomers, all of them are new immigrants. They are finding their ways to support themselves. So they can't give to the church. It's not that they don't want, they just don't have. This is the problem. Giving up what? My faith? That's impossible. It is the only thing that has kept me alive. Eventually, in the most, I think, 2 years, we will get a property from the Mexican government, federal property, which will be given to a civil association, the Russian community, which I am the president. I already requested that and I applied. So I think in a matter of 2 years we will have a property and we will not be paying rent. But if at this very moment we cannot sustain ourselves for the next 2 years, we will lose all the parishioners. We will lose all our children. We will lose the only Russian church in Mexico. We have children. We have elderly. We have people who need this church, who has become their home, their heart, for every Sunday, for all their needs. I don't think I will have any problem because I am a priest. I speak several languages. I could always be hired in. Thank you. This is what I will tell them. Thank you, because thanks to you, we have reached to this day. Thanks to you, we have accomplished many things of our mission work. Thanks to you, we have helped many, many Orthodox people. With your help, we will not just continue, we will establish firmly the Orthodox Church in Mexico and keep supporting all these people, keep helping and spreading the word of God.